So yeah, hope you can see the ARM templates whiteboard. So now we need to use Azure Resource Manager templates, and we'll see how we can automate it or why we even need this. Okay. So yeah, so today we're going to build on it, and this is probably going to be our last topic of ARM, not ARM, but cloud governance. And after that, once we're done with Azure templates, we will move on to identity. So Leo, as you are, I guess, on working in the private cloud. So you are familiar with Active Directory, or it's new to you?
I know the what is Active Directory and all, but I did not work on that ADs.
Okay, okay, no worries. So just like Azure Active Directory we have in servers, basically that's what Azure Active Directory is, just a little different. So we will cover that as well today. So if you're familiar with it, because if somebody have worked with the Active Directory before, they tend to confuse Azure Active Directory with the same thing. So just want to get the picture of it. So
Okay.
yep, let's move on then. So ARM we discussed. Ashish, you want to give it a try? What is Azure Resource Manager?
Uh, no, sir.
Okay. Leo, you want to give it a try?
Yeah, Azure Resource Manager mainly is for management. So that is contains GUI, CLI, PowerShell, and that Azure Resource Manager uses to connect with the resource provider.
Okay, that's good. So Azure Resource Manager doesn't really contain CLI, PowerShell, etc. So if we see a particular scenario of requesting a, let's say, a compute instance. Let's say this is PowerShell, this is CLI, and this would be our portal. Okay. So we basically send a request to endpoints. It could be Microsoft endpoint. It was basically going to be REST APIs. And then we have something called as ARM in between, okay, which analyzes our request and see what we really mean to do with Azure Cloud. Then ARM not consists, but talks with Azure resource providers, which are basically specialized in particular service. So let's say our request contains compute. So it's going to go with Microsoft.compute. So VMs, all these things, Microsoft.compute, it will talk to that resource provider, and that will help us build, let's say, compute or virtual machine inside the cloud. Okay, so this is Azure. So basically, this is on the high level, but flow of requests. So we see ARM is here, which is a management. It spans across the whole Azure cloud. Basically, everything we're going to talk, everything we're going to build inside Azure cloud, that's going to go through ARM, and ARM analyze that request. It manages, it sees what it has to do with that request. So that's ARM. So now, what is ARM templates? So let's say we are in the portal, right? We have to create a virtual machine. If you guys saw I think the first, second classes, we created a virtual machine. What we did from portal is basically we went ahead and go to Azure VMs. We click on create. Then we give it, let's say, resource group, subscriptions. Then there are going to be networking details, right? And in somewhere here, it would be have images like OS details. Then it would have disks. So all these things which we have to do one by one, we have to give this information right inside Azure portal. And after that, we basically, our request get complete. It's get analyzed by ARM. And then we basically ARM talk to resource provider, and then basically we get our compute. So this is a kind of long process, right? We do that. To simplify this, we can use CLI and PowerShell. We basically, in one line, we will let Azure know what we needs. So we will talk everything about in one line, and everything else we didn't give the parameter, it will take the default values. So that's one way of simplify this process. So there's another way, which is called as Azure template. Sorry, ARM templates, or ARM templates in short. So what if let's say we are giving this code it gets analyzed by ARM. What if we just give the code directly to ARM in the form of templates? So this is would be JSON, like we saw in the Azure policies. So basically same thing. If you can read that, it would be no big of a deal. So what if we just give a code which ARM can understand, and we give everything we need inside that template, and it will just provision it. We don't need to go step by step. We store this template somewhere for related deployments as well. So for those things, we use the ARM templates. So this is going to be called ARM templates. We basically make a file, JSON, with all the details we need for every resource. Let's say we want to make a resource of storage account. Let's say we want to make a compute resources. So there will be different templates for that. Okay. So for those things, we have different templates, and we basically give ARM that template, and it will read it, and it will easily provide that resource, because initially we have to give all the information one by one in the portal. Then it gets analyzed by ARM, and then it generates our resource. And here we are basically just inputting the fields which ARM needs. It doesn't need to evaluate it much, and it will basically give us the resource we need. So it will a much faster process to generate resources. You will see if we generate resources from ARM, it takes little less time, and it helps with our, what we can say, the continuous deployment or repeatable deployments, as well as opposed to giving all those things from Azure portal, going the everything, creating one by one. We can just save this template somewhere, and it will create us for us. We don't need to give every information all the time. Okay, so that's basically what templates are, and that's basically what they are used for. So if we have to talk about their features, we can type it here. Like they're also called as infrastructure as code. Okay, so this is not just for your virtual machines. It could be used for your storage accounts. It could be used for basically every other service. Could be load balancer. Every other service you can find in Azure account can be generated by your ARM templates. Okay. Other feature, infrastructure as a code. Basically, it's not donated as this IaaS. So like IaaS is infrastructure as a service. So we have this service called IAC, which is infrastructure as a code. Basically, we are giving infrastructure details as a code in the form of a file, right? So it is used for, like I said, repeatable deployments. It will give more granular control, or you can say modular control. And it basically is a faster method of generating resources or provisioning resources inside Azure cloud. So repeatable, we will save this. We will use this again and again for it. That's repeatable deployments. We are basically storing it as a code, our infrastructure. That's IaaS. We have modular control. You will see how much control we have inside a ARM template. So that will basically give us modular control, more control over the infrastructure. And it's obviously a faster method than going through, let's say, Azure portal or CLI. Okay. So that's that. That's basically everything about ARM. We can see some of the components once we go into the hands-on of this thing. But yeah, that's basically what we're gonna see. This is the whole crux of it. This is the whole concept of it. Till now, any questions? And if not, I'll go to the portal and we'll see it in action. All good?
Okay, yeah.
Okay, great. So I'll share my screen. So here I am in my Azure portal. So let's say we want to create a simple virtual machine. Could be a Linux, could be a Windows, however we want. Just to see everything is in the form of template. Let's say, where we can find that template. So as of now, I think I don't have any resource. Let me see if I have any other resource here. Okay, so I have this resource, but this was system generated. Let's see. So if I go to any resource, I go to click on export template. It will generate the ARM template for me. So this is the ARM template. This is a JSON file, and this is basically the whole code for ARM template. Okay. Now, this looks like this. Every other service inside Azure is in the form of stored in the form of this. While creating a service, let's say, let's create a storage account manually first. Okay. So I'll give these things. I will give a group. Let's create a new one. Give it training group. Okay. Give it a name. Give it a region. And hit next, hit next. If I just go to review and create, it will run its validation. And then you can see this is the option here, download a template for automation. So basically I'm doing everything inside the portal and it's still generating a template. So I can save, click on here. It's basically giving that same template, which is called as ARM template. You can see it's Azure Manager Resource template, right? So I can download it, save it to a GitHub or any other repository, but we have a new service called template specs. We don't need to go about it in the moment, but we can save it inside Azure portal as well with the recent service called template specs. So this is basically it. So we can open it in, let's say, Google Docs, docs.new. I'll go to, let's see this account and let's copy it and let's see. So this is the whole code of a storage account, which we basically gave nothing but default information. That's why you see there are a lot of empty, objects in here. I can click here, I can download, I can save this, I can copy this, then I can go into ARM and give this code and it will generate it for me. But in short, what I wanted to show here is everything inside will be stored in the form of ARM. That's how it will get, read or evaluated by Azure Resource Manager in the backend. Okay. So every services which we have already created, let this create first. So every service which we have already created like this, we can export a ARM template of it as well from going here in the bottom export template. Okay. So that's that. Every service we saw ARM is in the backend. Now what if we want to create a new resources using ARM template only? Where should we go? So for that, you will just go here, search for templates. So this is the templates which we use to create and deploy the ARM templates. And this is the template specs we are talking about, in which we use it as a repository for storing templates, giving other people access to it as well. Okay. So our focus is only templates. I'll click here. You can say I don't have any other templates at the moment. It will get deleted. It doesn't really save here. That's why we need to use some kind of version control like Git, but now we can use template specs as well to store these templates and sharing it. Okay. So let's click on create to create a new template. You can do all of these things in CLI and PowerShell to more automate stuff, but just for visual representation, I'm going it from the Azure portal. And because we are not really well versed with CLI, so this is our best way to go. So let's say I want to create a simple VM, VM of Windows machine, Windows VM. I'll call it template as well. Okay. Description, I will say simple Windows data center template. Okay. So I'll go to next. So it's giving me just these parameters, what we have to. So if I have to generate it from scratch, you can do it here. But as I said, it's not a well practice to give and generate this JSON files from scratch. So basically what we're going to use is go ahead and get a pre-made template and then edit it as our liking. Okay, so for that, I'll just go to Google. I'll go and search for, let's say, what else? I'll say demo template Windows ARM. So let's say Microsoft have us covered here. So here you are Azure Quick Start templates. Let's click here. This is for storage account. Let's go to the first one. Okay, let's search for demo template Windows VM. So here it is. Windows machine scale set. Okay, this is for scale set. Let me see. I guess we need to go and find one here for us. So let's say Windows. Deploy Windows machine. Okay, you know what? Let's start with this one, and we will add it as we like. Okay, so this is a pre-made template given by our Microsoft for us to use as an ARM template. We don't have to, type every other this code, so we can just copy this and edit it and save it to get a thing. As you can see, this is a lot of code. Okay. Other than that, that's basically it. Windows, let's say, try with data center if we can get lucky and don't need to edit it much. Okay, then I guess Microsoft doesn't have it for us, and let's copy the one we have as of now. So this is the ARM template where the code goes. I'm gonna select it and paste the one we got. Okay. So this is for the, I guess, Windows scale set, which is a different service. No need to worry about this at the moment, but let's see what it does. So if I go to here, you can see it is have a current version of this and OS version of Windows 19 data center. Okay, so this is basically creating a Windows scale set for us, which is basically a we can say a set of virtual machines for auto scaling purposes. That's a Windows scale set. So we can see the metadata description. This will fully patched image from version, and it supports this. And we can see from here, this is a lot of things going into the play here. We don't need to get into it, but basically what we are doing here is creating a Windows template. We can see this is the Windows scale set. This is calling the, we can say, resource provider for Windows machine scale set. And if we go ahead and let it create, it's going to take time because it's basically a scale set, but let's do it anyway. So we are adding the template, it's saving it for us. If we go here, we would have a saved template. Here we are. And now what we have to do is just click on deploy. And it will ask for the fields, which was a placeholder. So if you are, so here, so if this is the code, and if you can see here, so this thing, so this is a default, this is a parameter. Okay, so this thing is a parameter we have to give resource group and location. So these are the parameters which we're gonna fill out right here. So we saw this in, we can say, our Azure policy as well. What are the parameters like? As you can see, this got location already. And why is that? Because if we go here to our, let's say, resource group, you will see it's taking the location from resource group. Here it is. So it's basically giving the location default value for taking it from the resource group. So our resource group was in South India, which we just created, and it made a get the location from here. Now we can choose the images. So default it's gonna choose one, but all the things we got in here, we have the option to get those as well. So this is the parameter again. We need to give a VM skill set name, VM test SS for skill set, instance count, let's do it one. Then that we need to provide password, and everything else is not important, and we'll just go click on agree and purchase. So once we click purchase, it's gonna go ahead and start the deployment. So generally VM skill sets can take a lot of time because you can see these are 5 resources. It's gonna create a lot of things in the backend. So you can see it's basically initializing the deployment. So it would be the same thing if we go to here, let's say scale sets, and click on create and give all of this information one by one with networking, disk and this, all these things. Okay, so it says it's failed. Let's see what happened. Language property template link. So, okay, I guess our template was not very well made, but you get the picture, right? How we basically create a templates from the JSON file from the Azure Resource Manager, where we basically create it and how we deploy it, given the parameters. Any questions till now?
So this template will be using if you want to deploy a new VM next time, so that time we will be using this template, something like
yeah.
that.
Okay, we can use it. This template will just go here, click on deploy. But I guess there was some issue with the template, so that's why it's saying language expression doesn't support or something. But of course, better option would be to let's say we create a new VM. Okay. So we give it everything what we need inside a VM, and we want to create it. Okay. So we will just give it, let's say Ubuntu. What happened? Okay. Let's give it South India. Okay, so we are basically creating a virtual machine of this, and once we go to review and create, we will download the template and copy this, save it somewhere, and then go back to our template and create a new one. Okay, so this is just I wanted to use a quick start to see how it goes, but you can do a virtual machine, create it however you like it, and then save it to use for future purposes. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. So if you have already created, I showed you how you can download it as well. Just go to the resource and go to, let's say this is the resource. We can do it first resource groups as well. So let's try it. We go to resource group, we go to export template. So if you have already created a virtual machine, you can click here, copy this all, go to here, the templates, copy it and deploy it from there and save it in template specs for future references. And that way you can automate your process. You don't need to give these details step by step, going to visit all the time. Make sense? Any questions?
No, it's fine.
Okay, Ashish, you're good?
Yeah.
Okay, great. So again, whatever I'm doing, that's showing the hands-on, try to replicate, take notes of it, what we have discussed, try to replicate on your own with your own account after the class. So in case you have any issues, we can discuss it in the next class together. Okay. So that's that. That's basically all you need to know about Azure Resource Manager and Azure Resource Templates. So yeah, this was all about Azure Resource Manager and Azure Resource Manager templates. And yeah, that's basically it for today. Okay. Bye guys. Take care. Yep. Good night.
Bye.